welcome back. We have concluded the last lunch for the week, right? You're not that lucky. So, was everyone able to comply with the instructions? Not to discuss the case, not to do any research. Okay, we're going to turn to the state now and move on with the testimony.
The state will call its second to last witness of the week, Randall Noble.
Raise your right hand. Do you have this? You shall give the court and jury the trial position. Should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Step this way.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Detective. Okay, who's your doing?
Good afternoon. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Detective Randall Noble.
And how do you spell your version of Randall?
Randall spelled R-A-N-D-A-L-L.
And normal spelling of Noble, N-O-B-L-E.
That is correct.
All right. Where do you work?
I work with Chatham County Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Chatham County Police Department?
I've been with the department for 6 years.
And where are you from?
Originally raised in Enterprise, Alabama.
How did you end up in the Chatham County area?
I joined the military after college, stationed at Hunter Army Airfield.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to UAB.
Did you get a degree there?
Yes, in criminal justice.
Okay. What'd you do in the Army?
I was infantry.
Did you deploy?
Yes, I did do deployments, Afghanistan.
Okay. And you said you joined the Chatham County Police when?
I joined them 2018.
Okay. Was that shortly after you got out of the Army?
Yeah, it was a smooth transition. I would say it was about 2 months right after ETS. I got out of the military. I joined up with the department.
What was your first position at the department?
I was a patrol officer.
And are you now a detective with the Criminal Investigations Division?
Yes, sir.
When did you join CID as a detective?
I've been a detective for about 3 years.
So you were a detective in October of 2022.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'd like to draw your attention to October 5th, 2022. Were you on duty that day?
Yes, sir.
Did you respond at some point to the house at 535 Buckhalter Road?
Yes, sir.
How did you know to go out there? Did somebody tell you to go out there?
I was either Sergeant Dennis, Sergeant Solomon, I don't recall which supervisor, but typically when we get call outs, especially during the duty day, we responded to 535 Buckhalter.
Now, we've heard some testimony, we've seen some body-worn camera still frames showing you and Detective Wilkins getting there at roughly the same time. Him maybe a little bit earlier than you. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes, Detective Wilkins arrived before I did on scene.
And were you second on scene for CID?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us generally what was going on there when you arrived?
When I first arrived on scene, I met with Lieutenant Foster, who was head supervisor on scene at the time, and he basically just gave me the rundown exactly, who he talked to and what situation we're dealing with.
Now, what was Wilkins' responsibility out there? What was he doing?
At the time, he interviewed Leilani.
And what did your role become upon your arrival? What were you doing out there?
So after I talked with Lieutenant Foster, I met up with Detective Wilkins, who was already speaking with Leilani. And then after he conducted his interview, I had a brief interview with Leilani while Wilkins was right there.
Now, were you involved in coordinating the transport of Leilani Simon Paul Simon and Daniel Youngkin to Chatham County Police Department headquarters?
Yes, sir.
And is that building in Chatham County?
Yes, sir.
What was your involvement in the transport?
I took Leilani to the precinct.
What type of vehicle did you take her in?
At the time, it would have been my silver Ford Explorer unmarked vehicle.
Now, what's the back seat of that vehicle like?
It's just a normal, for that vehicle, it's just a normal back seat.
It's not like a patrol car with a cage and all that?
No, no cage, no plastic seating. I mean, it has your seatbelt, your standard seatbelts.
All right, so you gave her a ride.
Correct.
When you got to headquarters, we've heard some testimony that detectives and FBI agents paired up in teams to interview these three people. Is that your recollection?
Yes, sir.
Who were you paired up with?
I was the Special Agent Solomon.
And who did you and Special Agent Solomon interview?
We interviewed Danny.
Okay. Was he cooperative during October 5th?
Yes.
And at some point, did he give you consent to go through his phone and to download his phone?
That is correct.
All right. Did you also conduct an interview with Joe Swain when you were there?
Yes, after we interviewed Danny, I conducted an interview with Joe.
And who is Joe Swain in relation to the defendant?
Joe would be Leilani's older brother.
Okay. I'd like to show you what's been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 3 and identified as still frames from Sergeant Stewart's body-worn camera. Specifically, slide 18, okay? Do you see Joe Swain in this image? Is that him behind the truck there?
Yes, I believe that's him.
Okay. So he was at the scene at some point and came to headquarters?
Yes, he was on scene.
Okay. And did he have any relevant information to provide? He didn't live in that house at the time, did he?
No, what he provided that he moved out 6 months prior to this incident.
Did he have any relevant information to provide to you all, though, that assisted you in the investigation?
Yeah, so the initial interview, he thought it was odd that Leilani would blame Henry.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you just about the ADT records, okay?
Okay.
Did he have access on his phone to ADT records pertaining to the house?
Yes.
Tell me why did he have access to that?
To my knowledge, he had access because he's the one who set up the account for Billy Joe, the owner of the residence, and he still had access because he would access it for her.
Hey, tell us about this ADT system, what you know of it.
So the ADT records he provided was basically like similar to like a phone log. There were sensors on the doors to the living room, the front door, and the dining room. This is what it was labeled in on the records. And each time the door would open and close, it was time-stamped. And he had a screenshot version as if you were to check your bank records and you could see your statements. Well, he had a screenshot version of actually being able to access what day to look at the sensors.
Was it like an app on his phone?
Yes, that's correct.
And was he able to show that to you and sort of walk you through what doors had opened and closed when?
Yes, sir.
Now, was there any particular? Let me just make clear. Are you talking to him about this on the scene or at headquarters?
No, so he provided the screenshots. He sent them to me via text while I was on scene executing the search warrant. This happened after the interview with Joe.
Oh, okay. So it's after headquarters. You've gone back to the scene.
Correct.
All right. Was there any particular door activity at this time that was of interest to you that he provided?
Yes, at the time he provided a screenshot of the front door, which when we responded initially on scene, Leilani stated she woke up at 9 o'clock in the morning, approximately 9 o'clock in the morning. And then I was provided a statement from Danny when I interviewed him with Special Agent Solomon that he received a phone call from Leilani at 9:14. And initially, at this point in the investigation, her statement was she woke up, the door was open, she searched, and then she called Danny. Well, when I was provided the ADT records, it showed the front door opening at 9:22 a.m., which conflicted with Danny and Leilani's statements.
Now, did you follow up with ADT, the company, in search of official door sensor records from them directly?
Yes, I executed a search warrant for ADT to get certified records.
And did they turn around responsive records to you?
That is correct, yes.
Do you see in front of you a document marked as States Exhibit 58?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes, this is the search warrant.
The search warrant you sent to ADT?
This is the one I mailed to ADT, that is correct.
When did you get that search warrant? When did you obtain it from the judge?
I obtained it. Can I look at my report?
Would it help to just look at the warrant? I mean, wouldn't the warrant have a date on it? Or?
I mean, it was signed the 14th day of October, but I just want to make sure the day I mailed it out.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so October 17th, 2022 is when I mailed it.
Okay. And did they give you responsive records after receiving that search warrant?
Yes, sir. On October 27th, I received an email by Stacy Wise providing me with the records that were requested.
Now, the records that you got from them, what do they look like? What's the format?
So the format is basically she provided a business record certification stating that she's the one who pulled the records. And then the format is what I requested were the days from September 28th to October 5th. And it's pretty much just a timeline of since September 28th when, well, I'll just look at it real quick. From the point that the dining room door opened at 5:12 in the morning to all the way up to the point of 10/5/22 where the door opened at 23:56 p.m.
So that all the way through the evening, like
Correct.
that time of October 5th. What was that? I didn't catch the opening date, like a week's worth of records or something?
I requested from September 28th to October 5th of 2022.
Okay, so a week.
Correct.
And do those records show when a given door opened, like open and close, kind of all in the same go, or just open, or just closed after having been open? Can you tell all that from those records?
Yes, sir.
Okay. They weren't working that day?
No, ADT was not able to recover any camera footage.
Okay. And at some point, did the defendant and some other people told you the cameras at the residence weren't active during the relevant time frame?
Correct.
Okay. Now, these ADT records, again, the format of what you got, what does it look like? Just like columns or a spreadsheet or what?
I'll go with, it's a spreadsheet. You go from left to right. It'll give you a monitor or message, which would be a monitor is actually the door sensor moving. The message is when the system itself is doing a self-check to say, like, the sensors are still working, they still can reach a camera or whatnot. And then it will go into how they would describe each sensor. For this sake, sensor 1 was described as front door. Sensor 2 was described as dining room, and sensor 3 was described as living room.
Your Honor, at this time I would introduce into evidence States Exhibit 58 and 50. 59 is the ADT records that you got back.
Yes, sir.
All right, I would introduce States 58 and 59.
Any objection?
Having reviewed both, Judge, no objection.
Those are admitted.
Now, let me ask you this. You get these records from ADT, and I understand that you said they have a business record certification with them. We have heard, I think, some interview footage of the defendant claiming that the front door sensor wasn't working properly at the time, or something along those lines. Did you do anything yourself to ascertain, to verify whether these records are reliable, whether the statements in the records about when a door opened or closed is something that you can rely on and seems to be true?
Yeah, so what I did, I reviewed BWC footage from the officers that were on scene, and given the doors being open so actively, I thought it was a good source. Well, our BWCs, they're also time-stamped as well. I was able to timestamp one of the officers, Officer Jepson, when he walks into the house with Danny. It was the dining room door at 10:01, and then it correlated with his BWC. Also, there was another when Lieutenant Foster was messing with the front door at 10:16. I was able to review Voss's BWC, which corroborated with it was timestamped 10:16 as well.
Okay. So after cross-checking opening and closing of the door that you can see on some of these responding officers' cameras against the entries that you're seeing in the ADT records, do you believe those records to be accurate and these sensors to have been working properly at that time?
Yes, sir.
Now, you mentioned that these records are in like kind of a spreadsheet format. Have you done anything to create a visual aid to show the jury when the various doors in this house open and close, or just opened, or just closed after having been opened?
Yeah, the PowerPoint was created with a layout of the house, and then the front door, living room door, and dining room door is labeled through slides indicating when one door was open and closed and one door was open, vice versa.
Do you see in front of you a document marked with States Exhibit 60, or perhaps it's just a disc? I don't remember.
It's labeled ADT PowerPoint. It's 60, yes.
Go ahead. Now, have you reviewed the contents of that disc?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does it contain the presentation that you've just described?
That's correct.
And do the contents of that presentation accurately reflect what the ADT records themselves say?
Yes.
Do you believe that presentation will aid the jury in their understanding of your testimony?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would offer States Exhibit 60 at this time and ask permission to publish it.
No objection, Judge.
60 is admitted, and you may publish.
Do you agree with me that this presentation is not the most exciting thing in the world?
Absolutely.
You ready to rip through it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are we looking at on the first slide?
So from my right to your left, this is Leilani and Danny's room. I'm gonna get a little closer.
Yeah, you can step down if you want to just.
So this is Leilani and Danny's room. This is the first floor of the house. I don't have the second floor. And all we're caring about is the front, dining room, and living room door. Front door will be right. These right here are just windows. I know they look like doors, but it's just the way the layout. Front door will be right here. Dining room door right here, and the living room door is going to present itself right here. And the stars are actually where the doors would be.
And is each successive slide going to represent essentially an entry from these ADT records?
Correct.
Now, the first entry, what is the date and time for this? For each of these, why don't you just tell us the date, time, and what door is showing activity and what that activity is, okay? So we're on slide 2 here.
Okay. So we're going to start with October 4th. This is going to be 4:16 p.m. Down below is when the dining room door opens and closes.
Slide 3,
It's October 4th at 4:28 p.m. The dining room is opening and closing.
slide 4,
October 4th at 4:40 p.m. The dining room is opening and closing.
slide 5,
October 4th at 4:43 p.m. The dining room is opening and closing.
so still like mid to late afternoon at this point.
Correct.
Slide 6,
At 5:29 on October 4th, the front door is closed.
now can I presume from that there was an earlier entry showing that door being open but not closed?
Yes, the presentation didn't go far back enough, but on the ATT records do reflect that the front door was opened prior and was not closed, and that's why it's just now showing a closed.
Okay. Slide 7,
On October 4th at 5:45 p.m., the dining room is opening and closing.
slide 8,
At 17:52 on October 4th, the front door is opening and closing, along with the dining room doors opening and closing.
now does this mean that these events happened at the exact same time, or does it mean something different?
No, it happened within minute. It happened within the minute. The AT records does not break down seconds. So there will be repeated like front door opening and closing at some times. That's why it will reflect. There's further into the presentation, there'll be another slide like this, but it only would break down 5:52 between, 5:52 that both these doors opened before 5:53 hit.
And closed as well, right?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that where there's no special notation, that each of these stars represents the door opening and closing in the same entry?
Yeah, so for the most part, a lot of the entries, we use basically the blinking star. It's common. You open the door, you close it right away because you're just going through. So just a blinking star means opening and closing.
Okay. And does this presentation specify where a door is open but not closed?
That is correct.
Slide 9,
October 4th at 5:55 p.m., the dining room is opening and closing.
slide 10,
October 4th at 6:26 p.m., the door is left open.
which door?
The front door, sorry.
All right. And so at this time, this door is open but not closed.
Correct.
Slide 11,
On October 4th at 6:44 p.m., the front door is still open and the dining room is open and closed.
slide 12,
On October 4th at 7:19 p.m., the front door is closed.
slide 13,
On October 4th at 7:19 p.m., the front door is open and closed.
slide 14,
On October 4th at 7:43 p.m., the dining room door is open and closed. On October
This is, just for the record, this is slide 15.
on October 4th, 7:46 p.m. The dining room is open and closed.
Slide 16.
October 4th at 7:59 p.m. The door is left open.
Which door?
The front door.
Slide 17.
On October 4th at 8:41 p.m. The front door is closed.
And that was after having been left open on the previous slide.
Correct.
Slide 18.
On October 4th at 9:41 p.m. The front door is opened.
Slide 19.
On October 4th at 10:11 p.m. The front door is closed.
Slide 20.
On October 4th at 10:11 p.m. The front door is open.
Slide 21.
On October 4th at 10:22 p.m. The front door is still open. And then the dining room door is opened and closed.
Your Honor, I will note for the court, at this time we've introduced this exhibit only on a disc. I do intend to print a paper version of this presentation and add it into evidence at a convenient time so that the jury will have it during deliberations, so that they don't have only the disc to be able to look at it.
Any objection to that?
Your Honor, I would object when the time comes. Let's just get to that point first, and I'll state all those reasons why later.
All right. You may proceed.
All right, this is slide 21. I don't remember whether you addressed this one or not yet. Can you tell us again what this?
Yes, on October 4th at 10:22 p.m. The front door is still open and the dining room door was open and closed.
Slide 22.
At October 4th at 10:36 p.m. The front door is still open and the dining room is open and closed.
One moment, please, Your Honor. I'd like to approach with what's been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 86. On page 5 of this exhibit, there's a text message that has been identified in prior testimony as being from Daniel Youngkin to the defendant, sent at 10:38 p.m. on October 4th. Can you read what that message says?
It says Paul showed up and is going to bed.
So would this opening of the dining room door seem to correlate with that message?
Yes, sir.
Slide 23.
On October 4th at 11:13 p.m., the front door is still open and the dining room is open and closed.
Slide 24.
On October 4th at 11:58 p.m., the front door is closed.
Slide 25.
On October 5th of 2022 at 1 o'clock in the morning, the living room door is opened.
Now, let me go back to the last slide, slide 24. What's the time on slide 24 and what door is active here?
The front door is closed at 11:58 p.m.
All right. So between 11:58 p.m. when the front door closes and the next slide, 1:02 a.m. on the 5th when the living room door opens, was there any other door activity in the house?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now let me ask you about this living room door here. Did you look through the records to see how frequently this door is used?
Yes.
And what can you tell us about that?
Through September 28th to October 5th, this door was, well, I take that back. Up to the point of when we arrived on scene, the living room door was opened only 8 times.
Okay. Had it been opened any other time that you know of on October 4th?
Not that I'm aware of.
Slide 26.
On October 5th at 1:03 a.m., the living room door is closed.
Slide 27.
On October 5th at 1:07 a.m., the dining room door is open and closed.
Slide 28.
October 5th at 1:10 a.m., the dining room door is open and closed.
Slide 29.
On October 5th at 1:26 a.m., the dining room door is open and closed.
Slide 30.
On October 5th at 1:39 a.m., the dining room is open and closed.
Slide 31.
On October 5th, 2 o'clock at 2:01 in the morning, the dining room door is open and closed.
Slide 32.
On October 5th at 2:04 in the morning, the dining room door is opened.
Slide 33.
On October 5th at 2:36 in the morning, the dining room.
Slide 34.
On October 5th at 5:44 in the morning, the dining room door is open and closed.
Slide 35.
On October 5th at 5:47 in the morning, the dining room door is closed, open and closed.
Slide 36.
On October 5th at 9:22 a.m., the front door is opened.
And is that the entry you were talking about earlier?
Yes, sir.
The 9:22 opening of the door that would have been several minutes into the defendant's phone call to Daniel Youngkin?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, we've been going through this thing pretty quickly, but that door had been closed for many hours at this point, right?
Correct.
37.
On October 5th at 9:30 in the morning, the dining room door is open and closed, and the front door is still open.
So whoever opened that door at 9:22 left it hanging open?
Correct.
Slide 38.
On October 5th at 9:33 in the morning, the dining room door is open and closed, and the front door is still open.
Slide 39.
On October 5th at 9:36 in the morning, the dining room door is open and closed, and the front door is still open.
And slide 40.
On October 5th at 9:39 in the morning, the dining room is open and closed, and the front door is still open.
And it's sometime not too long after that that the police show up?
Yes, sir.
Now, on October 6th, day 2, were you involved in some follow-up investigation pertaining to Daniel Youngkin?
Yes, sir.
And again, you were paired up with whom?
Special Agent Solomon.
Did you all go out to Danny's place of work?
That is correct.
Can you tell us what that place was?
It was Eclipse Warehouse. That's where he worked out over at the Parkway.
All right, in Port Wentworth.
Correct.
Did you all interview Dave Mullins?
That is correct.
And did you all get timesheets for the defendant, Paul, and Danny?
Correct.
Did you all ask them to provide you with surveillance footage?
That is correct.
And what were y'all looking for in that surveillance footage?
And then
What were y'all wanting to see?
in the initial interview with Danny, he described how he reacted when he received the phone call from Leilani, which he was at work when he received the phone call. So acquiring the surveillance footage would just corroborate how he acted and when he left work and when he arrived on scene.
And have you seen that footage?
No, sir.
Oh, you actually haven't seen it?
No, sir.
Who got it, or who received it from?
It would be Special Agent Solomon later on. He did not present it to us while we were both on scene.
Okay. Now, you were the point person for tracing the trash, I guess.
Correct.
Can you tell us about how you came to be assigned to do that?
So initially, after we did the interview with Danny's boss, we all collaborated at the FBI headquarters, and basically everyone had assignments that day, and we brought back the knowledge that we had, and then we sat down at the table, and it was when Brad disclosed, when Leilani visited her friend at Azalea, that she never visited Leilani. So it drew up a red flag of why exactly did she go to Azalea Park if her alibi was speaking with Misty. And so that's why we focused the next morning on the Azalea trailer park.
So at the time of this meeting, Special Agent Snyder had already interviewed Misty.
Correct.
Okay. Did y'all have at that point, were you aware of video footage from Azalea as well at that point?
The video footage was recovered the next morning on October 7th.
Okay. So is the interview of Misty alone made the dumpsters of interest to y'all?
Correct.
And did you then begin an effort to figure out where the trash in those dumpsters had gone?
Yes, sir.
And about what date are we at here where you started this project? And if you need to refer to your report, because I'd like to get dates right here.
That would be October 7th.
Okay, so it'd be day 3 of the investigation.
Yes, sir.
All right. Had those dumpsters been emptied by that point?
Yes, sir.
Between like the morning of October 5th and October 7th when you're beginning this project?
Yes, those dumpsters were picked up the morning of October 5th.
Okay. Sometime after daybreak, I guess?
The dumpster, when they went to Azalea Mobile Park, he picked up those dumpers at 9:36 in the morning at Azalea Mobile.
Okay, so everything that was in there from, say, 1:15 a.m. on the 5th on would have been gone at the time that these dumpsters became of interest to you?
Correct.
Okay. So what was your first step in tracing the trash?
I got a hold of the manager of Azalea, Robin, and basically just asked her over phone, like, who takes your trash, and she provided a company, Waste Pro.
All right. And what'd you do with that information? Where'd you go from there?
I called Waste Pro, just the generic line, said, hey, I need to talk to someone. I'm conducting an investigation about a missing child. I was linked up with Joe Matz.
Who is Joe Matz?
Joe Matz, he runs Waste Pro at Hardyville, South Carolina. He runs the company, like a manager.
And was Mr. Matz helpful to you?
Yes, he was.
Was he able to tell you whether his company had, in fact, had a truck empty those dumpsters on the morning of October 5th?
Yes, sir.
Was he able to tell you exactly which truck?
Yes, sir.
And was he able to tell you where that truck went?
Yes, sir.
And was he able to provide you with some documentation of all these things?
Yes.
Can you describe the documentation that he was able to give to you He'll come in and testify about it in more detail, but can you describe what he was able to give to you?
Yeah, so the driver in the mornings, he picks up his, we'll say, route, and it's like a dispatch log. It's printed off. He receives it. The driver would just mark which one is still active companies, and he would follow that route. And it was just proven which place he stopped at during that day.
And did that dispatch log or whatever it's called show that this particular truck had in stop, in fact, serviced Azalea that day, October 5th?
Yes.
Okay. What was he able to tell you in terms of where that truck had then gone with the trash to dump it?
He went to Waste Management Landfill off Little Neck Road.
So once you had that information from Mr. Matz, what did you do with that?
I contacted Denard Johnson, who's basically the showrunner out there. He runs the landfill. I asked him if he would stop unloading the garbage he was receiving.
Did you go talk to him in person?
Yes.
And did you ask him whether he could tell you the general area where the truck that you were concerned with would have dumped its trash on the morning of October 5th?
Yes.
And was he able to give you that information?
Yes, he went out there and pointed it out to us.
Okay. Can you describe, just in general terms, the size and type of area that he was pointing out to you?
I mean, it's a massive hill. I'd say, 100-yard incline, just straight up, not safe to walk on. That's pretty much.
Did you then ask Mr. Johnson to stop routing trash to that particular area?
I did.
And was he cooperative with that?
Yes.
Did they reroute their operations to a different area of the landfill from that point in time?
Yes, sir.
What day was it that you were out there asking him to hit the brakes with dumping trash in that particular area?
It'd be October 7th.
That was October 7th that you met with him?
Correct.
And had garbage trucks been dumping trash in that area between October 5th and October 7th when you asked him to stop doing that?
Yes.
All right, so like a couple days worth of trash then on top of Quinton.
Correct.
From there, were you involved in the coordination of what's been referred to as the landfill search, the effort to search this area that Denard Johnson pointed out to you and find Quinton in all that trash?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you remember about that, the coordination and different agencies involved and so forth?
So the FBI was familiar. They've done a couple landfill searches as well, and we got a hold of Team Adam, who specialized in recovering bodies in the landfill. Of Team Adam that we know of, it was named after Adam Walsh, who was a 6-year-old child that was abducted from a Sears department store and murdered. And from there, I don't know exactly when they found the child, but they weren't able to find the killer till 20 years later when he confessed on his
Actually,
death.
Your Honor, relevance to this investigation.
So in any case, Team Adam is named after Adam Walsh.
Correct.
One of the original high-profile missing children.
Correct.
Okay. Did consultants from Team Adam come down and visit the landfill?
Yes, sir.
And did they advise on the proper conduct of the landfill search?
Yes, they did.
Was an FBI agent named Brian Osden involved in this as well?
Correct.
Y'all were all working together?
Yeah, it was a group effort.
One moment, please. see in front of you a document marked as State's Exhibit 61?
I do.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
What is it?
It is a search warrant for the search of the landfill. It would be Waste Management Superior Landfill at 3001 Little Neck Road, Savannah, Georgia.
And when did you obtain that search warrant?
The search warrant was signed on the 14th day of October.
Your Honor, I would introduce that as State's Exhibit 61.
Give me 1 second, Judge. I don't think I do. Let me double check. No objection, Judge.
Submitted.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Detective Nobles, let's start with the ADT stuff, okay? And you said that the cameras weren't working.
To my knowledge, no, they weren't working.
Did you seek to download them?
When I talked with ADT, they were unable to recover any footage when the search warrant was executed.
Okay. When was the search warrant executed?
It was executed on the 17th of October.
So almost 2 weeks later, correct?
Correct.
But if you go through the records, and I was looking through it, it says that there was video footage, correct?
Are you referring to the search warrant, sir?
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually referring to the records themselves. I mean, it says monitor device driveway camera remote access test passed October 5th, 7:55.
That's correct.
So are you saying that there was footage, but it's corrupted, or you just weren't able to get the footage, or you didn't get the footage?
To my knowledge, it was a test that there was the system itself could connect to the front camera, but there was no video footage for ADT to obtain.
Okay. And there were several different sensor tests saying that there was camera footage and that the test was passed, but you're saying that you weren't able to recover any of the camera footage.
Correct.
Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this, and I'm just trying to summarize it. So according from what I can tell, it looks like that the front door opened, and I may have got the times wrong because it all kind of ran together when you were talking about it, but it looks like the front door opened on October 4th at 7:59, closed 8:41, opened 8:41, or maybe that's not, it's 21:41. I'm horrible with military time. What is that?
What time frame did you just say again?
Starting on October 4th, around 2100 on your records.
Okay. 21:41. That's 8:41 p.m.
That's 8:41?
That is correct.
Okay, so 8:41 p.m. then. And it says that the front door was opened at, I guess, 22:11. Is that correct?
That'd be 10:11 p.m.
So at 10:11 it's opened. Then you go on up and it says dining room, open, closed, dining room, open, closed, dining room, open, closed. Correct?
Correct.
And then it says October 4th at 23:55. 23:55 is what time?
11:55 p.m. It's right before midnight.
All right. Video device driveway camera remote access test passed. And then right above that, living room door opened. And it says right above that it says front door closed at 11:58, correct?
Correct.
And my understanding is, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you say that the front door wasn't opened again until 9:22 the next morning.
That's what the records indicate.
And so, but there were many different doors that opened and closed that night, correct?
Correct. In between that time frame, yes, sir.
Right. And they're all living room and dining room back doors, correct?
Correct.
What is a modem ping?
The modem ping 10.4,
Yes.
22, 1033, or just in general, just the
Just in
message?
general, what is it?
To my knowledge, the modem ping was just attesting of the actual access to the system itself, like that it was able to access the sensors. It's just a self-check. So if the modem ping did not detect the sensors, then it would read something different, like unsuccessful.
Okay. And let's go on up on further into the morning of October 5th. Video device front porch cam at 2:07. No remote access. 2:19, dining room door left open. 2:19, sensor left open, rule event triggered a monitor notification. I assume that means some sort of notification.
Yes, so you can see we're going to go sensor left open, 219, the bottom one. You see where it says Joe Swan 2 at Yahoo?
Mm-hmm.
So that is when he's accessing it with his phone. That's
Okay.
what I believe that indicates.
All right. So at 2:19, a notification was sent, correct?
Yes, that's what the records would show.
And it says dining room door, sensor left open, restoral. I don't know, what does that mean? Did you ever ask what that meant?
No, I did not ask what the restoral part meant.
Okay. And then again, there's just more opening and closing, correct?
Correct.
So you did attempt to get some video camera footage, but you weren't able to.
Yes, because I had the same question you had. When I received these records, it was pinging, it was accessing a camera, and so I did reach out to Stacy as well and said, what does that mean? And she's saying, basically, it's just saying it has a successful test, but it's not. They didn't have any footage they can provide me.
So, and just, again, it's showing successful testing, it's showing it's there, it's showing the equipment's working, but there's no successful or no camera footage, correct?
Correct?
Okay. And so it shows that there's at least some fault in the system, correct?
I wouldn't say fault, no.
Well, if something says that it's working and then you can't get it, what would you call it then?
Well, people every day, they have rig footage and they're not subscribed and they can't access that video footage. So it's not at fault, there's no access to the video footage.
Are you saying that's what happened here?
No, I just use that as an example that the system's not at fault. The company just could not provide me video footage.
Okay. Well, did you ever check and see whether or not they had actually subscribed for the video footage?
No.
You just took the records for what they were worth, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Didn't do any further investigation into that.
I talked with Stacy Wise, who is employed with ADT and certified to provide me these business records. That's who I...
You can say no, that's fine. I mean, so you didn't check to see if there was any defective equipment or any camera footage or whether they were not subscribed. It's okay.
At this point, I think the question is asked and answered, and I would lodge an objection on that basis.
I don't think it's been answered, Judge.
I'm going to allow him to ask the question. He does have him on cross-examination.
So my question is, you didn't do any further inquiry on the issue of the camera footage.
Correct.
That was it, okay? Now, with regards to the trash, did you, when you identified the trash truck, did you identify the route that the trash truck took?
Correct.
Okay. And what exactly was the route that the trash truck took on its normal daily route on that particular day?
I don't have the route memorized on my, but the driver himself provided notes of the route, and then the documents provided of the route itself as well.
All right. Well, and did the route include up and down Ageechee Road?
Yes.
Did it include up and down Buckhalter Road?
Buckhalter?
Buckhalter.
I would have to look at the route.
How about up and down Girard?
Again, I would have to look at the route.
Okay. So you don't have any knowledge of that, to the best of your knowledge?
There's documents provided of the route the truck took.
Right. You just don't remember, that's all.
Correct.
Okay. That's all the questions I got, Judge.
Just a couple questions on this video thing. Your search warrant, let me see your search warrant. talked specifically with Stacy Ann Weiss about these camera ping entries in the records, and whether that might mean that there's video footage available.
Yes.
And she told you, we don't have any video to give you.
No.
Based on her level of cooperation, do you think if they had video, she would have
Objection,
found
Your Honor,
it?
calls for speculation.
I don't think it does. I think he can testify from his personal knowledge to this question.
Let me hear the question.
How many times did you talk to her?
I just talked to her, revolving the ping, revolving the records, and what I didn't understand. I just talked to her one time.
Okay. And she told you they didn't have any footage for that address.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any reason to believe that that's not true?
No.
You talked to Joe Swain. You can sit down, Mr. Young. You talked to Joe Swain at headquarters on the 5th, right?
Correct.
Okay. Was he cooperative?
Yes.
He was showing you all this door sensor stuff on his phone, right?
So initially, when I interviewed Joe, he just spoke about Leilani and something wasn't right.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sustain.
Okay.
Joe provided snapshots of what he had on his phone to me via cell phone. He sent them via text and looked up the system himself.
In the way of door sensor records.
Correct.
Based on his level of cooperation, do you think if he had video footage, he would have given it to you?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Sustain.
And are you aware of the defendant saying to investigators during this investigation, oh, the cameras weren't working that night because they only work when the alarm system is armed? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
I don't have any further questions.
Detective Noble. Thank you. You're